Hi everyone, it's Heather Nichols and welcome to Make It Monday. Today we're going to do stamping and stitching on paper. So I chose the Superstar set to do my card with today, and you can see I have my box of embroidery floss out. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to stamp my design on my cardstock. When you're choosing an image to embroider or stitch on, don't limit yourself to just the outlines. You can definitely use stamps like the star here that have pattern on the inside or maybe a solid shape or something like that. Just kind of decide like where you're going to do your embroidery on the card. And it does, like I said, it doesn't necessarily have to be something you're covering up. This can be something that you're just adding a little bit of texture and detail to. So I'm just stamping this kind of little trail on the stars in soft stone. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to choose here my embroidery floss that I'm going to use I'm going to outline the star. I'm not going to do too much embroidery, I'm just going to do enough to enhance the image that I have stamped on the card. So before you actually stitch your design, you're going, especially on paper, you're going to want to use a paper piercer to pre-punch your stitching holes. And you can do this with a paper piercer, you can use a needle, you can use a pin. You're going to want something underneath your area that you're working. I have a little foam mat underneath there. You can use like a mouse pad, you can use like the Kids Craft Fun Foam. Just something to protect your surface underneath, and just punch your holes pretty equal distance apart. You don't want them too close and you don't want them too far apart. Next we're going to go ahead and we're going to thread our needle. I am using a needle with a point on the end. It's kind of an embroidery needle. It has a little bit bigger eye, and I'm just using embroidery floss. I did split this, so I've got 3 strands of the 6-stranded embroidery floss. This is how I do my knots. This is kind of a sewing knot. I've done it forever, twisting the end around the needle and sliding it down. Just a nice, neat, and tidy little knot. Just trim my excess thread. And I'm going to go ahead and get started. And the stitch that I'm going to use is called the back stitch. And I'm going to zoom in here in just a second so you can get a closer look at how to do the back stitch if you haven't ever done it before. There we go. So the gist of the back stitch is you're coming up a stitch ahead, and on paper, like fabric, you can kind of feel where you're going to come up. Paper, you really can't do that because you're going to poke a hole in your paper where you don't want it. So you pretty much are going to have to flip your paper to see what hole you're going to come up. But the gist of the back stitch is you're coming up one hole ahead and then doubling back down the hole before, so that you're creating basically a straight solid line of stitching. Okay, I fast forwarded a little bit so you don't have to watch me stitch the whole star. This is one of those projects where it is going to take you a little bit of time to sew around, depending on how complex you're making your little embroidery project. It just took me a couple minutes to go around the star. So I'm going to get to the end here and I'm going to show you how I basically tie it off in the back. You could just use a tape just to secure the ends down in the back. But I'm going to just do a knot here, and I'll show you that in just a second. Okay, I'm going to take my needle and I'm just going to run it under my little stitching in the back, and I'm going to pull it and make a loop, and I'm just going to tuck my needle through the loop and pull it. I'll do it one more time here. Go under my little thread, make a loop, and put your needle through and pull. And that just gives you enough of a knot to secure the ends of that floss. And like I said, you can always add tape or something. It's going to be on the back, so it's not going to show. And there you have your completed embroidered star. I'm using a ruler here that has kind of a hole punch guide in it. There's a lot of different guides out there on the market that you might explore if you want to get into more embroidery type ideas. I just punched the holes to do a solid line because I'm going to use this as an accent on the bottom of my card. I stitched it onto the strip of soft stone cardstock, and then I'm going to use some score tape to stick it onto the card. With that embroidery floss being right there, I want it to be secure to the card front, so I'm just using this for a little extra stick. I'm just going to peel that last little piece off, and then I'm going to attach that to the bottom. A lot of times I like to do a machine stitched line for kind of an accent on my cards, but this time it's a little hand stitched line to match the hand stitching on my main image of my card. Then I'm just going to attach my stamped piece to the card front. I'm going to pop it up with a few foam squares so it sits up just a little bit from that card front. Make sure everything is secure, and I have one little extra thing to add to the card. I just needed just something a little bit more, so I'm going to add some clear rhinestones to the three kind of middle-sized stars. I've got the tiny ones and I've got those middle-sized ones, so I just stuck a little rhinestone in each of those, and that just gives the card just a little extra sparkle. And there we have it. So I've got some stitching and stamping coordinated together on my card, and now it's your turn to share your projects using stitching and stamping. Go to Nicole's blog and get all the information on posting and entering the contest this week. Thanks everybody. Have a great week.